Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Sheridan, and I'm hosting this conversation with Neil Stevens. And tonight, Neil's joined with his brother, fellow councillor Tony Stevens. Tony is the councillor for the Exwick and St. Thomas Division, and of course, Neil is the councillor from the Alphington and Cowick Division. Thank you both for joining us tonight. Now, interesting thing, last week we had some VIPs with us. I know that we have several before, and I'm really thrilled, Neil and Tony, that this show is growing in popularity, not only around Devon or Exeter here, but to lands afar, even in New York, I understand. But one of the interesting things I got a real chuckle out of was some cheeky Twitter geek, computer warrior, decided to kind of twist my words a little bit. And if you go on YouTube, sometimes it doesn't interpret the words correctly. And because my English grammar, Tony, isn't exactly the way it should be, I pronounced career as career, potentially, which I doubt. Anyway, so they thought I was talking about queers when I was actually talking about
I thought you
careers.
said career.
What do you think of that, Tony?
Well, now you say it, I thought you said actually.
Okay.
As in north and south.
Well, I'm glad I've got a supporter from you.
So there we go.
Well, so what's been going on is we have some interesting things happening within the branch. We've got an annual general meeting in another month. It's going to be really exciting. Hey guys, if you're a reform supporter, stop being a keyboard warrior, spend the measly 25 quid and become a member and come to the AGM. I guarantee you it will be more fun than Disneyland, okay? Now we're going to chop and change a little bit here because instead of kind of like going through the actions, there's been a lot of things going on, right, Neil and Tony? Let's kick things off. What's been going on? Neil, I understand that you met with the Exeter City Council person today, director?
Yeah, we had a really busy day from 10 o'clock. We've had a meeting at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, then 3 o'clock till 4:30. So in front of me, I've got quite a lot of notes. So I'm going to slow down a bit. I'm not going to get it all out to you, but if you remember what we said, the reason we do this broadcasting is to relay as much information so you understand what we're doing to support the community, but also to understand what they're doing and what we're up against. So some of it is positive news, some of it is things we will climb over and get through as a team.
Thank you, Neil. Can I just interject, as I said last time, we don't care whether it's Exeter City Council problem or Devon County Council problem. The constituents, the voters, are who we are accountable to. And if you have any problem at all, contact Neil or Tony, and believe me, they'll coordinate, between the councils to get the job done. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah, I'm gradually sort of understanding which departments deal with which issue. So it's getting easier.
Yeah. And
sometimes you have to discriminate against or to work out whether it's an Exeter City problem or a Devon County Council problem, or whether it's an another outside problem on some of the other issues.
I'll give you an example of that. My famous tree that's on the River X roundabout, but I don't know what you call that. But anyway, it's just sitting there naked, stuff like that. And the grass is growing a mile high. But they can't figure out, at least the person that I talked to, a couple of people I talked to, they can't figure out whose land it is, whether it's the Rivers Authority, whether it's Exeter City Council or Devon County. So it's all just sitting there. So that's a good example. You're going to get to the bottom of it, which we really appreciate.
Yeah, we've learned today a system where we can go online, tap into our portal. This portal then shows us basically who owns what areas. So if it's publicly owned, or people like you and I, it's in white. If it's owned by City Council, it's green. We have borders. There's so much. We've only got shown it today. So that should give us direction regarding your wall issue, Tony.
Yeah, I mean, I have a wall that's fallen down.
Where's that wall, Tony?
Near Parkview or near the Sawyers. I've been in touch with Exeter City Council and they're trying to find out whose wall it is. It's sort of back and forth at the moment. They don't want to take responsibility. I can't move the rubble because apparently it's not my wall. Exeter City won't move it because they said it's not their wall, but it is a danger, and if it gets any worse, really for health and safety
So you're going to get
reasons.
to the bottom of that.
Yes, I mean it's going to take time, but we are getting there.
Yeah.
Well, they
I mean,
say they
that's-
don't know who owns the ward, but I bet if it's
somebody
council
owns it.
tax, they
Well,
know
yeah.
it is.
I'm sure if it was in the head councillor's area, he would soon, or
Yeah.
it is back going.
Well,
he would
that,
sort it out.
Tony, isn't that a good example? Because
It's red tape.
to be frank with you, I think the leader of the council, the Exeter City Council, is a labor man, right? And he's in the Exwick constituency, but it doesn't matter to you, is it? Because
No,
you want to get the job done for the voters, which
I
is
mean
great.
this particular wall's in the St Thomas region, but just for the people, it's a very, very popular thoroughfare to the park. For health and safety reasons alone, it has to be sorted out. But the argument is it's not their wall, but it's somebody's wall.
Yeah.
And, they won't repair it until they find out whose wall it is.
Thank you, Tony. Neil, tell us more about this meeting you had today with the director.
Okay, so really productive meeting. The lady gave us her time. She was in no rush, and I didn't feel like she was under any pressure, and it was very honest and open. So I've got a lot of things to relay to you guys. A lot of the emails I get is over, we'll talk about poo bins tonight, we'll talk about the grass verges, we'll talk about cars which are being left. So there's a lot. But I sit on the fence, and my job is to relay your messages to whoever who's dealing with it. But let's just put in perspective, Tony, what did we learn today?
Well, we've learned on the grass cutting, for instance, they essentially just cut the verges. They won't go any further in. So that's why if you go to any green space, it's only cut along the edges.
Yeah, so we'll talk about the weeds later on, because I thought, and Tony naturally thought, that the weeds around the streets is Exeter City issue. Well, it's not Exeter City, it's Devon County Council. We'll cover that subject later on in the meeting. But we'll talk about parks and spaces and the cleanliness of the city, because we can't criticise if we don't know the facts. Would you agree?
Yes, quite agree. And it was quite surprising after talking to the person. You do sort of form an opinion, go in with an opinion, but you come out with another opinion, and you can understand why they have to do what they do.
Yeah, and one thing just want to emphasize a little bit is that you are political councillors, right? You are not a civil servant, not a public servant. You're not a member of the Exeter City Council. You don't work in the organization there. You work with them, and we want to support them. We're not against them, right?
Well,
Does that make sense?
I find, and this is my feeling, and I've worked with Devon County Council before, there is not really a good link between Exeter City Council and Devon County Council, and that's not.
That's a good point.
But
Let's pick that
But
up.
what we were dealing with today was Exeter City Council. We are Devon County Council, but we're looking at the actual facts. So if I start off with the facts without going too far into it, they run a program called the Balance Maintenance Program, all right? And that's to do with the cleanliness of the streets and everything that you and I, we expect.
Well, take for granted.
Or take for granted. Okay, so 2013... and just before the lockdown, they had 58 members of staff to clean the whole city. Am I right, Tony?
Yes.
So you're talking about Exeter City Council.
Exeter City Council,
Thank you.
58 people. Okay, that might seem a lot, but you think all the streets, all the alleyways. We're not talking about collecting refuge. That's different.
Well, also people go on holiday and they go off sick also.
Yeah,
So
that's
and
another
then there
issue
are-
which we'll
That's
talk
another
about.
issue again.
There are vacancies that it takes a while to recruit, so
The previous
that's not many people.
No, the previous government, obviously, where do they want to save money? So her staff was reduced to 41 people.
Crikey.
She has 12 vans. Okay, this is to do with central government cuts.
So are they? Excuse me, Neil, for interrupting. But are these? What are those staff do? What are the responsibilities?
Okay,
generally?
so
is it
to
weeds,
break-
or is it litter, or what do they
Yeah,
do?
litter, maintenance, all the signs, all the stuff underneath the signs.
Well, 8 of them are committed for the city centre alone.
No, 6 to 7
Oh,
are
is it 6?
committed
Yeah.
to city centre. That's keeping the city centre spotless.
Clean.
All right, and that's rolling all the time. The next thing, they have a deep clean team, right, which consists of 8 people.
So is this part of the 41, Neil?
41. So
Okay.
every time I give you a figure, it's
Thank you.
deducting off the 41.
Awesome.
So
Gotcha.
6 to 7 are primary to clean Exeter City Centre, which obviously where the main people come and see the visitors. Okay, the next thing, like I said, we have 8 deep clean people. They also cover 50% of that team cover people who go sick. All right, so automatically that deep clean becomes 4 if they've got to cover 4 positions, and you know we don't know who's going to be, sick.
And what does the deep clean team do?
They go around, Tony.
Where all the weeds are, funny enough, and build up all the flotsam and jetsam, as you call it, and underneath the seats and stuff like that, where the brake dust and all the sort of stuff gathers. They're there to
I see.
clean all that.
Okay. thanks.
Places that the other people can't access.
Yeah. Go ahead, Neil. Sorry.
Okay, 2023, they were asked to make another saving of 15%.
Blimey.
So let's look at this. We've had
That's 6 positions. I believe.
58 people reduced to 41 people, 12 vans, and their job is to clean and maintain the streets. It gets very interesting.
I mean, we, again, we're here to support them. We empathize with them because that's ridiculous. You can't run a city that way.
No, but they're
Right.
expected to it, and if I've criticised Exeter City Council in the past, I apologise now because I'm here to gather facts and find out what, and then we need to look at a solution. So just remind people that they can put questions in any time. Okay, going back to this, right? If the permanent staff can't replace the sick people, then they've got to go to agency to cover the sickness, right? This is the budget is not
Yeah.
built into the budget.
Well, agency staff. I mean, I was agency staff for a long time, so it's generally more expensive, isn't it?
Well, I might get criticised for this, but a lot of people
Oh.
now, after the lockdown, people don't want to go out and work, as
Yeah.
in they do want to work, but they want to stay at home. They can
Yeah.
dictate their wages. Sadly, people
People are
have
more
to go
choosy.
out. People have to go
Yeah.
out and work,
Yeah.
and because it's a big system. If you stay at home, you don't go to the cafes, you don't spend your money
Yeah,
for
it's,
tea.
it's all the businesses that work around and rely on the footfall.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's interesting. So somehow we need to help them fill the gap, maybe.
Well,
What do you think?
when we turned up, the person we met was fantastic. She must have met loads of councillors in the past, and I did say to her, look, open and honest conversation. I expect I sound like a broken record where you've heard it all before, but we'll just carry on. They are working to the bare bone right now. We'll look at answers in a minute. All right, graffiti. We brought graffiti up a number of times.
Yeah, and I was quite surprised. She said, I have one person. I believe that's what she said, wasn't it, Neil?
Yeah, they have one
to
person.
deal with graffiti.
Okay, so this
Gosh,
service
that's really
is
terrible.
provided.
I didn't realize that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to overspeak you.
Go ahead, Neil.
This service is provided free. They did charge once, but they found because they charge, naturally, people aren't going to say anything. So it is free, one person. They have no budget for it. They have no cleaning material. Am I right on that?
Yeah.
They have no material or budget to do that, all right? But what we did find out, okay, it's not just Exeter City Council which is responsible. I'm referring to this because I want to get the facts correct. Okay, highways are responsible, Devon County Council are responsible, Environmental Agency are responsible, and Utility are responsible for this as well.
Well,
Depending where it is.
I've got a question for you. Tony, the St. Thomas Railway Station there, right? There's Clive's nightclub or whatever the heck it was, right? You know where it is,
Yeah.
Riverside. They're responsible. The owners of that, I guess, is Great Western, aren't? When
Probably
you talk
Great
about
Western.
responsibility, they're responsible for removing their graffiti. BT and Open Reach, whatever they're,
Yeah,
they
I
have their
think
phone
whoever
boxes.
owns
They're
the building.
responsible for their graffiti, right? Am I going in the right direction there, Neil?
Yeah, and
It's a
we've
difficult
covered this.
issue, isn't
We've
it?
covered this, and we are now being invited to a group, and you might have heard it called the Tidy Exeter. Very interesting. We're going to go to their AGM to see what we can do to support them, but what they can do to support us. And, you know, we can talk and talk, but we've only had 1 or 2 volunteers to help to tackle these issues. But it was interesting as well what she said, you know, this area has been, you know, the committee, the Democratic team, the budget's been approved by the Democratic team. You know, the area is high maintenance running costs. That's what they're saying, Exeter. All right. To maintain the standards, they actually won in 2022 the cleanest city in England. And it was rated on A and B standard. They were, this is Exeter City Council, by the way, 98 to 99% of a clean city. I did question that, but I mean, I did ask them, did they judge it on the city now after the budget cuts, or did they compare it before the budget cuts? Because they're 2 different comparisons in my eyes.
Yeah. We've got to move on here, guys. We're running a little bit.
Yep.
We got a lot of things to discuss, topics to discuss, which is great. But let's get a couple aspects in here. I want to talk about what we're going to do to help them, like our volunteers, Neil. But finish what you're talking about, and then we'll maybe touch briefly on that, if you could, please.
Yeah, so I think with the Tidy Exeter, a great gentleman, I'm not mentioning names, has invited us to it. That's going to give us some direction. We've got another guy, which I've got to get back to, where I met in the chat box. He wants to run a team. We're going to put on our Facebook pages sign-up charters so we can run it. And we'll do it as more of a community gathering, you know, where tea, coffee's laid on, and we just go out and do it. We were de-weeding the other day. That's another issue, the destruction of the pavements. But we'll cover that in a minute.
I mean, in fact, I got my hair cut this morning. You notice?
No, I didn't. Oh, yeah, you normally have that bit flying around in front. You still got that bit flying around
anyway,
in front.
Hey, promote local businesses. There's a great barber, Loft Barbershop, right above the... is that okay? Am I allowed to do that?
Yeah, of course you are.
Okay. But
Tom is an awesome barber. The other guy there with the beard, he's an awesome, but he needs to get rid of the beard.
I'm afraid
but anyway,
to say, you know.
And so anyway, make a long story short, there's a beautiful view. If you get your hair cut, Tony, there's a beautiful view of the river there, and a beautiful view of the graffiti. And Tom and I were talking about the graffiti. He's a great guy. He's got a great intellect, but he's too chicken to come on the show. Can you believe that?
Oh, never.
But anyway, we're talking about the graffiti. He said, Rob, it's been there for 20 years. So I said, hey, perfect. That means, you know what that means, Tony? It means that our anti-graffiti squad, to help that one person of the council, we're gonna eliminate that within a day. And then, since it's been up there for 20 years, it'll take 20 years for the graffiti dudes to come back, right? It'll be
probably
perfect.
not, actually.
That's my logic, anyway.
You'll probably find it'll be back within a day.
There's one other important issue, which doggy poo bins. Okay, 2 to 400 were removed. I spoke to the lady today. We need to bring this up. Very interesting. She's not saying she won't put some back, but what they have to do is go out. We have to put a business case, which is quite simple, strategically placing these bins in the right locations. For example, RGB, there's a little gateway you can walk along the flood area there, and I think people were making a protest for leaving poo bags there. They will send somebody out, they will judge it, and then if it fits the criteria, the poo bin will be put back. What they said was some of the poo bins in the areas, and I've wrote it down,
weren't viable.
It produces more rubbish because
people put other stuff in there, right?
Yeah, and it falls out, and between 5 foot around the bin, there's more rubbish.
Yeah.
So when they remove the bin, there's no rubbish.
Well,
so
Neil, doesn't it also open up a cost for the council, because then people are going to have to pick it up?
She wasn't really worried about the cost, but there is a man who I know very well who goes around and empty them. So strategically, you've got to look at the right locations. So we have to bring this up. So I need suggestions for your area.
So essentially major dog walking routes.
Yeah, your area, Tony. If you get in touch with Tony, this is where you had a bin. You got to be sensible and be realistic.
Okay.
Yeah, so mainly on dog walking routes, so that they can be placed at either end of it.
Okay. Hey, Tony, now, so you had a great meeting today. We're going to help the council, help the community. We're going to get together a team, okay? And we're going to hit the graffiti. How is the council going to help us out? Do they have any Any equipment that we can borrow, or
One of the things we
any
did,
knowledge from the graffiti
one of the things
person?
we did push for them was the community payback scheme,
What is that?
which is when offenders or people who are doing their community service
Mm-hmm.
come in and they help. Our only problem there is they need to have facilities nearby
Mm-hmm.
to obviously
Mm-hmm.
go toilet and stuff like that. Well, our problems there is there are no toilets
Mhm.
because they've all been
Mhm.
shut down or
Mhm.
slowed. So it's getting around that. The equipment side, we can provide the equipment,
Mm-hmm.
but they obviously need to go toilet and these facilities
Okay.
need to be close. So you have to sort of work around a
Yeah.
solution of that.
That was interesting because we said about closing the toilets around the area, and this was quite. She said most of the toilets in the city centre are open, and I asked, "Do you find there's a problem with people going to the toilet in different areas?" And the answer was very different. She said they wee more around the city centre than the areas we've closed the toilets. Maybe because they're coming out of
Interesting.
pubs. I don't know.
So Neil, next step. Wouldn't the next step be then for our team leader and you guys to meet with the council graffiti person to get a download of information and expertise so that
Yeah,
our team can
We've drafted
deploy
an
itself?
email to, about 20 minutes ago after we finished the meeting.
Perfect.
Very simple.
Thank you very much.
And obviously, we're going to speak to the Tidy Exeter group as well.
Super. Okay. So let's get into the grants. But before I do, we need some questions. I know we got a lot of viewers out there. Put some questions. You can put them on YouTube, or you can put it on Facebook. I prefer YouTube, frankly. But okay, let's talk about grants now. Tony, what grants are these? And
Well, each county councillor gets £8,000 a year, which may be reduced next year. We do not know, but the money has to be spent and distributed in your community to worthy causes that benefit a certain amount of people. It can't be for one person. It can't pay debts off. It has to be put towards ongoing projects.
and how do you apply for that?
Well, we've just found out today. You essentially go on the local.
Well, no, what basically do, you can approach us anytime. If you don't know our emails, it's our name. So it's Neil or Tony.Stevens.
Locality fund, that's it.
Yeah. So basically,
locality fund.
all you got to do is approach us, come up with the idea. We can give you a verbal consent, right? And then we'll send you where you can apply for it.
Apply. And then
Right.
it goes from there. So you can apply for whatever you feel's right, but it doesn't mean to say you're going to get that amount, because obviously we want as many people as possible to benefit. But hopefully we will be able to contribute a certain amount.
Super. So what would be an example of someone applying for a grant? It couldn't be Tom the barber, applying for a new shop, could it?
No, it can't be your barber, no.
Yeah.
No, any community groups, anything that benefits the community, really, and not just that. One of the things that I was thinking about is the Exeter Food Bank, for instance, which
Good idea.
benefits a lot of people.
Yeah.
The CAB, yeah, probably.
Mm-hmm.
But there are also other community groups that I've been looking at in and around
Yeah.
Exwick and St Thomas,
Okay.
which, I think would benefit.
Yeah. How about you, Neil? What about in your area?
Well, the question we asked the lady today was, can we have the report which our previous councillors have given money to? So we're going to get that.
That's a good idea.
Right. I would say, I don't know this, but maybe repetition, but we're trying to help more people. So with the 8,000, it's our discretion, really.
It sounds a lot.
It is our discretion. So a good, not a business case. It's very simple to apply.
Okay.
But I'll give you an example which I thought was a very good idea, and it came up when I did the diversity lesson today. I was earwinging over a conversation in the chat box because I was talking to a lovely gentleman called Ian, who's going to be part of our cleansing team. And a lady was very shy, but she was looking at neurodiversity with young mums, setting a support group. Well, my daughter's into these support groups because when she had a granddaughter, my granddaughter, her baby, it was affected quite good. So something like that line where we can fund a group to help the community. And the more research I did in neurodiversity, very interesting, because I have to be straight. I didn't really know or understand it. Tony, did you?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a complicated term. I mean, what occurs to me is this. Ideally, it should be seed money. In other words, money that could be spent by an organization to get them started.
Hopefully,
it shouldn't be. Normally, it shouldn't be used to keep them going, because then
it's to establish.
Then you're reliant on the state for. Does that make sense?
Well, I agree and disagree. So we have free. Is it free running? No, free. What's it called, Tony?
Free cycle.
Free movement.
Free movement. Very good organisation. A lot of people use it. So we might not be able to give him all the money he wants, but if that serves the community and everybody's happy with it, something like that can be repetition every year.
What is that organization?
It's a free service where essentially it gets people out into the parks to do yoga and various other exercises.
That's
really,
great.
Without having to go
idea.
to a gym.
Okay.
Also, going back to the grants, there's more than one councillor in Exeter. I think there's 9. Devon and Dorset's regiment, they want to lay poppies on Remembrance Day. So we're going to send a message out to all the councillors. It doesn't matter what hat you wear. We should be supporting this type of remembrance for Poppy Days and all that. So everybody donates.
I think the same goes for the Exeter Food Bank, of course, as well.
True.
Yeah, which work down in Carrot Street, don't they?
Yeah, they work in various places, but it benefits a lot of people.
So what you're saying is it doesn't matter what political party you are, you're going to try to coordinate among the
I
other
think
councils.
on some of them you have to
At least,
coordinate. Other ones, they're projects that in your own area that you think are beneficial.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to mention the party because it's irrelevant, frankly, but on the May 2nd, the day of the election, there's a young man that got elected, and I had actually spoken to him previously, but just social courtesy, and he got elected, and I went up there and said, "Hey, nice job," even though it was one of our candidates who lost. I congratulated him, and he said, "You know what, Rob? We have almost, if you look at things this way, 80%. We all believe in 80%. It's just the 20% that we disagree on. So let's come together." So I think that's a great concept that you guys are using here.
Also, we're going to have a meeting with that gentleman. He's a lovely young lad, and I'm interested in the next generation, the youth, listen to their concerns. 13 to 19. I haven't got to put an age on it, but I think that's our next generation. So talking to this gentleman who wears a different hat, but perfect gentleman, we're going to come together to see how we can go out to the schools and listen to the young generation, because their view counts. It's not, I'm past it, you're past it, but we're trying to stop or change things. Yeah,
and that sort of gets into our next topic a little bit, but before we talk about it, well, the next topic is diversity, but is really what the focus of this show or podcast, whatever you want to call it, is the community issues, and also we want to use it to promote local business as well. Okay, not the international conglomerates, but we don't care. Again, whether it's Devon County or Exeter City Council issues, we don't care if we have to deal with the Green Party, the Lib Dems, or Labour Party. We want to all pull together to get the job done, and that means when we're talking about diversity, which is our next topic, we don't really care. At least I don't care. I don't think you care either, do you, Tony? Whether you're from New York, whether you're from Edinburgh, or if you're got a beard like our producer over there, right? Like my barber. Or how you identify, I really care less, because we're all British, we're Great Britons. We're all interested in our community.
We've all got to live together.
You had, did you go on diversity training today, Tony?
No, I did it the other day. It was Neil who had to do it today.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, can you tell us what happened?
Yeah. Well, part of my job is to do with school transport appeals, and it's quite in depth because there's a lot of factors around how we take vulnerable children or vulnerable people from A to B. So if they've got an issue, we've got to do an appeal, which I've got a complete 2-hour training package tomorrow. But part of that I have to do is diversity. Met a lovely lady today. She was a little bit apprehensive to meet me. Her words were, "I know your don't quote me on the exact words, but the reform policy."
What does she mean by that?
Well, she said, "I know your reform policy, and in a nutshell, she said, I know that you're trying to get rid of my job. 20 years, diversity officer. So I had to bring it down a peg and say, well, first, she was really lovely and we had a really good half an hour session. And I said, let's just take it one step. Diversity, you can rebrand it or whatever. But I think our bigger picture, I can read out the merits over our identity. She said one of her friends lives in my constituency and she is scared, not scared of me, but scared of what we are going to do and change things.
I mean, what do you... What do you mean by scared? I mean, is she there sitting there in her bedroom frightened of coming out of the house?
I'm not saying this lady. She said the reform policy, and I don't really want to bring the word reform policy is, we don't believe in diversity. Well, that's not totally correct. Right. So we're looking at appointments, opportunities, reform in society, which brings merit and ability. All right. And I'm quoting some of this, not on characteristics like race, gender, or religion. We don't care.
Yeah. Well, Neil and Tony, we're inclusive, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're and I'll give you an example of what's going on in America, which is maybe going to happen over here. But Harvard University, a lot of the major universities, they used to have these DEI programs, but unfortunately they excluded against Asian and Japanese students who happen to be, if you look at it demographically, are normally, get better results. So unfortunately, that those ethnic groups have been excluded or marginalized to promote other areas. So it's very difficult to, when you're not inclusive of everybody, when you try to chop everybody up into little boxes, it just doesn't work. What do you think, Neil?
No, I totally agree. So if we use diversity, we're the opposition. We don't like woke or quota policies. Right, diversity quotas, what we call woke ideology, believes in such policies which I think can divide people. Right, it's lowering the standards and prioritising identity over competence. So if you come up in a job, it shouldn't matter who you are, what you are, and what
if you're
believe
capable
in.
of doing it,
Yeah.
you get it on your own merit, not because of what gender or race you are.
I guess I don't understand. What do you think, Tony? The word, what does this woke mean to you?
Woke.
Yeah.
I've got to tread carefully on this now because I was brought up on a different generation. But you really, I think a lot of kids now are wrapped in cotton wool.
Well, they call us a namsy-pamsy state.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know what it. I looked it up in the dictionary once. I couldn't understand it, but basically, what it means to me is that you're just kind of going down a checklist, going with the flow. You don't really want to come out of your box and
you
tell the
mustn't
truth.
upset anybody or
you can't
say
upset
something.
anybody. Exactly. You got to be woke. You got to be.
Everyone's wrapped
You got to
in
be
cotton wool
trendy
now.
and say the trendy
Yeah,
stuff.
but under equality of law, all right, and we have 9 characteristics. I wear hearing aids, by the way, so everybody's protected. Reform UK supports equal rights for all citizens. Okay, and we oppose any form of discrimination. Let's just make that clear. So all these people who say reform are far right,
Well, they're racist.
and it's just scrub that off. All right, just scrub it off. All right, it's a load of rubbish.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we largely support British values. This great country. Neil, during the campaign, Tony, we used to get Facebook posts from some people, and they used to say, "Hey, we disagree. What's your policy, or whatever?" And I said, "Hey, come around for a cup of coffee. Let's meet at the barbershop or whatever, And one person did agree, but then they canceled last minute. I mean, what do you think of asking the diversity lead to ask that person to meet with you for a cup of coffee?
Yeah, no, she was
Because
really, really lovely.
Then maybe the word would spread.
No, I'll tell you what, that's a good idea. And I spoke to her today, and I told her we'd do like this. And I did say, I'm going to relay all your messaging to you.
Yeah.
And if we broaden it out a bit, right, and I'm now going to be on the school's appeal committee, right, and we've got young, vulnerable children, right, to me, there's a lot of things involved. And, the 9 protected characteristics, they have to have tick team. We've got to look whether they can't hear, if they can speak the same language. So to me, everybody's equal.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Neil, could you pass me that?
Yeah.
paper. Did we get a
there's
a question?
two questions here.
Here, give it to me.
So we're just going to answer
Nice.
these questions, and please, we want that interaction.
Okay, well, this is a good one. Do you mind me interrupting?
No, these
okay.
are more questions are more important.
Okay, so Jess, thank you very much for your question. Why aren't we getting more, guys? Okay, come on. I know we got probably at least 150 people out there at this time. If somebody wants to volunteer and help you guys, how do we do that? Is there someone in particular we contact? What's the answer, Tony?
I have a web. I've got a page. I've got a telephone number. My address is all open knowledge. So's Neil's. We're not going to hide our addresses. We're not going to hide our telephone numbers.
What we're going to do is we're going to go on Facebook. We're going to do a page where you can sign up. We've already got 4 volunteers. Sign up. Logistics, we'll handle logistics. Tea, coffee, we'll handle the tea, coffee. So on the logistics side is easy. So I used to design and deliver courses. But we will present that within the next 3 or 4 days, where if you're interested, it doesn't matter what area, this side the river, let us know.
Okay.
And please support us.
Thanks. I mean, I think we're going to have a flood of volunteers, but we're going to have a flood of work. I think you guys got to get out there and actually.
We were de-weeding 2 days ago. Actually.
Yes.
Yeah, I think it'd be helpful to get out there and meet with the council, the graffiti guy, and get the equipment organized, because
I have to say,
there are a lot of
very
people want
hard
to help.
work as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony. So this one is from George. There's nowhere for the elderly to come together in Alphington. Alphington has Chatterbox, okay, which is in the village hall. How about St. Thomas, Tony? Could we do something in the church hall so residents who may feel isolated, like this lady?
One of the things
come together?
One of the things in St. Thomas is finding a location. Like I said, and it has to be, because it's the elderly, it has to be easily accessible. So there is the church community hall.
Is it St. Thomas?
St. Thomas Church
where they had
Community
the
Hall, yeah. I mean,
polling-
obviously accessible there.
polling area?
Hopefully, yeah. One of the things too, when I was canvassing quite a while ago, I was talking to somebody, an elderly gentleman who does speeches and talks. And he says he talks to the people with Alzheimer's and stuff like that as a group. And he says, I never actually finish the talk because these people interact and start talking themselves about their past lives. And obviously, I do know where he lives. And if I could get a place and a group together, I'd love him to do a talk.
Okay.
Somebody pushed the wrong buttons for you this week, wasn't it? When you run,
Yeah,
without mentioning names.
I won't mention names, no. One of the things that I've been trying to do, obviously, is...
It wasn't me, was it?
No, it wasn't you, Rob, no. No, we keep talking about the subject, the fire station in
Well,
Carrick
the Exeter
Street.
City... Yeah,
And what it is, I mean, Exeter City are determined to sell it. They don't want it. They said it's not profitable. It has to go. So they've tried selling it as a going concern, as a business.
But what did the guy say to you, Tony?
Well, the guy said to me essentially, stick to talking about dealing with potholes. Don't run before you can walk. Well, you know, we've been county councillors for 6 weeks. So, you know, we're certainly not going to sort of lay off it.
Well, I think it was disappointing. Call a spade a spade. You'll probably chastise me for this, but it's the leader of the flipping council, isn't it? Which is from the Exwick division.
I couldn't possibly say.
Exwick ward. Okay, that's what I heard.
I can't honestly say who it is.
Yeah,
it's not for me.
Okay. Well, it's
you know,
it's
I mean,
sad that
we're
if it is
there-
the leader, it's pretty sad, Tony, that they want
Very
to do
good.
that.
Douglas says hi from
Yeah,
Belfast.
everybody wave to Douglas. Hey, Douglas.
Thank you, Douglas. I
Chill.
need your
Thank
support.
you,
Yeah,
Douglas.
how's the weather? I hope it's better than here, man.
But going back to the grants, the lady we were speaking to works as a 2-man team, she is, and one of the women is an expert on the asset community valuation thing. So I've wrote everything, and that's not just
it's
for
to
that
try
building.
and delay the sale. This is.
Yeah, we're trying to
So we
delay
can-
it for 6 months. I
So
mean,
we can actually
okay.
try and pull something together.
Now, guys, you wanted to talk about planning and what's going on in Alphington. There are a couple issues going on there, which
Yeah, I think Neil's department is because it's your ward. So.
Okay. You met with the planning department, Neil, about development there. Tell us about that.
yeah, this is a good plug, actually. So tonight, after I leave here, I'm going straight to the Alfreton Village Hall, where they have an AGM open meeting, 7:15. It's only for an hour. I've been invited there, which is a Q&A. if you want to come along and question me, I will take any questions.
Everybody can come. It doesn't. Every member of the public. Ideally, people in Alphington, not from,
Yeah, the lady in
not
charge.
from Belfast, Douglas. Okay.
The lady in charge called Julietta. She would have come on tonight, but she's actually got to organise this meeting, so she'll be a future guest in the future.
And can I just chime in? People that are coming on this podcast, I'm thrilled about, Tony, because they can see that we're not focused on who they are, like, whether they're Labor or Green or whatever.
No, they won't.
And I don't want to
no
mention the
political
politics of
allegiances.
anybody that you just mentioned, but can I say they're not from our party? So it's that's a great thing. We're here to support.
I mean,
the community.
hopefully you'll actually learn when you listen to the podcast then what does happen behind the scenes and why some things are done and not others.
The more we meet people, and by the way, we've met some lovely people today, and I
they've
thank
all
you
been
for your
great,
time.
yeah. Well, it's
and you can see what they're up against.
Yeah, I mean, it's as I said in the last podcast, the interesting thing is that you both won. One of the reasons why you won is because you got half the vote from Labor. See, so there's still some.
But
there are a lot of
regardless
people
of
that are
how many
seeing-
votes we've got, we've still got to produce the goods.
Yes, but people are seeing, in other words, Tony, that you actually you're what they call it. You're not just another pretty face or whatever it is. You're getting the work
I
done.
do spend a lot
We've
of
had a
time
few
doing
comments
emails.
today in the council, Devon County Council. We know we're not. None of us are on the cabinet, and I've already covered that. And good luck to the people on the cabinet. It would have been nice to give one of us or two of us a seat, but a lot of individuals in the council said, "What a breath of fresh air! The energy
That's
that,
super.
and that's not just us. The energy of the new 80% new candidates. So that doesn't matter which party it is, right? The energy they can feel,
Great.
right?
Well, yeah, I mean, this podcast is a good example of that. Here, I'll take that. Yeah, okay. Thanks, sir. Yeah, okay, so I interrupted you. What about the development in Alphington?
Right,
Tell
so
us
I
about
spoke
that.
to another lady today. She was a little bit nervous meeting myself, but I could understand a lot of the stuff she's been asked about. Right, so over in Alphington, there's going to be 2,500 homes built. 500 of them are Exeter City, and the other 2,000 is Teambridge. Big question. Why was there not infrastructure being built before? So I said to her, if you're going to build a house, you always make sure you got the utilities first, i.e. the electric, gas, and so on. Right, she couldn't really answer this question, but she's only a small fish in a big pond. So I will have to dig deeper. But what we've got right now is a problem or issues which Devon County Council are trying their best to resolve. And I'm not defending them because, we've got a problem here, but it was relayed. Okay, so if we have issues, the people we should be dealing with, okay, is for the school, for example. The school is being built, and there's an issue with it, Tony, isn't there?
There is. In fact, we didn't realise how bad the issue was. One of the considerations was actually knocking it down again and rebuilding it, because they don't know yet whether or not they can solve the problem of the fact that it's sinking.
Where's this school?
Subsidence. The new school that's been built.
On the new
On the new
2000, with the
Oh,
2,500.
So what are they going to do for a school then?
Right,
If,
so this is the issue. They've had temporary accommodation in it, or temporary schooling, all right, which is going to last longer, all right, and we're blaming Devon County Council. Right, if we need to do it now, which I'll talk about what we're going to do, all right, it's the Department of Education are not replying or not giving the correct answers to Devon County Council. Remember, the school was built by the government, not Devon County
you
Council.
forgot to mention that the builders who did build it have gone out of business.
Okay, and this relays now to also the surgery which they're going to build. So the builders that went out of business,
We're going to build that as
we're
well.
going to build the surgery.
So I guess one port of call is to the MP, I guess. Is that
Yeah,
right?
you've got one protocol, the MP. They also had a package of 50 million for house development, right, which is not...
What does that mean?
The government gave Devon County Council 50 million for house development,
For
which,
infrastructure?
Yeah, but they're
For the
spending it
community-
wisely.
For the community centre as well and the medical centre that's being built at this moment.
Yeah, so the health centre, right, will not be finished till next summer. Right, once it's finished, it will be handed over to the NHS, and they will work out a transfer or
How to
somebody a
integrate it
provider.
within the services. Yeah.
You know that because
Yeah.
you used to work for the
Mhm.
health centre.
Mhm.
Interesting, though, it has 29 spaces for the surgery. So
And
we
the community
thought,
centre.
Tony, carry on.
No, 29 spaces for the community centre and the medical centre, when I think there was a rumour there'd only be 2 or 3.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
it sounds a lot, but of course, if the community centre's busy and the health centre's busy, there is nowhere else to park.
Mm.
So,
Well, before we get into the next topic, did you have anything else you want to cover there, Neil?
Yeah, so I said, well, while you're building these things, these houses, and you're doing it, what percentage are you working on for children? Because primary, you build more houses, you can have more children. So they work on one child per 4 houses, and 1.5 for the extra child for the extra house. So I said, well, what happens when this statistics don't work, or the percentage? And they couldn't really give an answer to it. All right. So I said a lot of children are being pushed through to schools which have got no places. And the same with the surgeries. They didn't really have an answer. So I know they've been told all
spread
these
the load, isn't it?
all
around?
these have been told to spread the load. Well, I feel sorry for Eid surgery and all the rest, because
Yeah.
having 2,500 houses.
Spread the load on a load that was already overwhelmed, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, Tony has
Right, I've
a
got an
question.
interesting one that comes up, which is nothing to do with the subject you were
Who's it
talking
from,
about,
Tony?
Neil. It says, Tina asks, can there be more warning signs along the canal and river regarding swimming, especially with 6 weeks holiday coming up? Which is a very interesting question, and I think the answer to that, yes, there should be, especially after what has happened, unfortunately. I think it's something that we've probably an extra city council issue, so it's one we're going to have to approach them on. I can't see there not being, but obviously, if we can prevent something from happening again,
There is signs, and there is rings and rope, isn't there?
there's
some,
rings
yeah.
and rope,
Yeah.
but I think you've got to sort of. It's true what the person's
Well,
asked,
whoever come
Yeah,
up with the
I
idea,
agree.
maybe they
Yeah.
could come up with a business plan or an idea.
or a
because-
better idea,
or at least a
you
low
know.
sign or series of signs. Well, can you
especially near the places where people are liable to jump in the swim.
can you take that on, Tony? And
yeah, I can
and
find out that
we've
one.
got. I think
I have a feeling that's Exeter City Council.
Mrs. Producer, do we have the contact details of the person that asked that question? Perfect. Okay, so Tony, you can take that up.
I'll take
with
that
her,
one,
right?
yeah.
Okay. But before we get into the highways, Douglas asked a question about the e-bikes and stuff. Poor Deliveroo guys, they really want to make some money, and so therefore they're not on pedal bikes. They're on these throttle control
Well, they must have a
things that
bit
go
of money
like
to afford an
80
e-bike.
mile an hour down the road and kills half the people on the way, probably. And so he's wondering if we can play a role in getting these, getting more of an attention paid to controlling those bikes. That's a difficult one, I think.
It's
isn't it?
trying to keep the policy of trying to use bikes instead of vehicles. I'm not a great believer that people or individuals on bikes should be riding on pavements. I crossed the road in my house the other day to talk to a neighbour, and a young chap from school came hurtling down the path, and he literally did an emergency stop on me, and we were both surprised. He was surprised I was on the pavement, and I was surprised he was on the bike. Going back to the electric bikes, I can see that people use them for a living. Let's be honest. I think it should be licensed, or i.e. that they should be. I think you can get insurance now on e-bikes, but it needs to be controlled.
I think
And-
it should be licensed and insurance. It is a road legal. It's a road
Yeah, and I
vehicle.
was working in Regent Street the other day, and I crossed the road, and I thought whoever's pedaling that bike was fast. Then I realised it was an electric bike.
But that's a national issue, though. It's not,
No,
it's,
but
it's a difficult one,
this is
isn't
going to
it?
lead on to other when we
It's-
do the
it's
wrap
law,
up in a
isn't
minute.
it?
When we do
Huh?
a wrap up in a minute, I'm
Okay.
going to give you answers, because we can talk about problems, but we need.
So let's come
answers.
back to that. You wanted to discuss, guys, highways, okay, for a little while. Did you have a meeting with someone to discuss the traffic crossings and general
Okay, so-
safety around some of the
I
construction
think Neil
sites?
can start that one because
There's two issues
Yeah.
here we're going to cover. We'll cover the traffic flow, because if you've got 2,500 extra vehicles in the Alphington, that's gonna push the vehicles up. So some of the constituency have brought up the Dawlish Road. So I'm aware there's no pavements there. I'm aware there is a bike route, which I haven't walked yet, which I'm going to walk. But also a lot of young mothers are using the road with no pavements to take their children to school. So the question I will put out to you, which we came up with, what do we do? We're never going to please everybody, i.e. the council. Okay. So the question was, do we reduce the speed? Because that road, Dawlish Road, is normal national speed limit. Do we reduce it to 40? But there's no way you can police that. So we still got a problem down there.
Neil, just for the benefit of people in Tony's area, is Dawlish Road the road that goes from Alphington down to the Devon Hotel roundabout?
yes,
Yeah, correct, yeah.
Okay, so that is a problem, isn't it?
Yeah, and you had a problem
It's a
with
cut
speeding
through.
in your area,
It's
didn't you?
cut through.
Yeah, I mean, one of the roads that I had a problem with is Gloucester Road. So I'm in Exwick School tomorrow, and I'm going to see if there's anything that we can coordinate with the school kids and the school itself about making people aware, because obviously it is a walkway for the parents taking their children to school.
Yes, we met a gentleman from Highways the other day, very productive, as in he gives us answers right away within 24 hours. But today we also met his boss regarding issues. So same with the question, we can have a thing called a point closure. All right, there's a point closure where, and I'm talking about that road, and it could happen on any road, Dawlish Road,
You
where
could just restrict it to one way.
yeah, no, it's not one way. It's basically you put a block in the middle. So you come in one way or you come in the other way, but you can't go all the way down. But that's going to upset people who want to go into Alphington. All right. They call it a rat run. All right. So if you stop the rat run, you're also going to upset the people living there. So, then I said, could we have speed, what's it called, Tony?
Bumps.
No, the yellow cameras.
Oh, the speed average
or at least
speed.
a warning sign. It doesn't need to be a penalty.
the average
Yeah, but
speed. isn't
then it was
Exactly.
pointed out
That's a good
there's
idea.
so many slip roads going in, you'd never
you
be able
just
to
never
monitor
pick
it.
all the drivers up.
Right, but I also said size restriction. Maybe a certain size you can't go down that road. So that's a thing I would like to bring up on the forum tonight, or suggestions. So Devon County Council are listening. They just want to know proposals, whether they do anything. Ideas. So that's what they said to me.
I mean,
on that.
to me the speed detector signs that are not linked up and you don't get a fine out of it are still effective. Even
but
if you
people get
see-
used to them.
I
seen
don't.
one in Chudley
No,
Road.
it
I'm
makes
very
me-
careful.
no,
I don't go above the speed limit at all. Tony.
Well, I
Okay.
naturally slow down because of my age. So I
Yeah.
just not in a rush to get to where I'm going to go. So I just
I
drive
want
slow.
to make sure I go exactly the speed limit around town because kids are around this area stuff. So,
Well, you
but
won't
I
go
know
very
it,
fast
everybody's
around town
different.
anyway.
Maybe I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah, but there's another thing bugs me is I've just got an email out from the Highways or whoever it's from that they've got cameras now on all bus routes,
Yeah, Carrick Street's one.
but they can't have any money normally.
On
But
all
they've
buses or bus routes?
bus routes,
Bus lanes.
So bus lanes. Okay, sorry, bus lanes. So you're going to be monitored on bus lanes.
Oh, like on
if you,
Topsham Road, for example.
yeah,
right?
Topsham
Yeah.
Road.
Carrick Street's another.
If
Oh, really?
you
Okay.
if
Yeah.
you go into the bus lane, your first thing is you're going to get a warning letter. The second thing, then you will be
Yeah.
fined.
Well, that's generous because in London you get a £150 fine.
My discussion, and I didn't use the word argument, is they can find the money for cameras, okay,
Yeah.
but they can't find the money for other important things, and there's a lot of stuff.
Okay, great. Now, we get just a couple more minutes here, but can I ask a question that John, relay this question that John has asked here? Thank you, John. What can be done regarding funding to fix areas of the high street like 4th Street? Okay, so I guess this is going up to Central Exeter, right? That has not been looked after to the point of neglect when areas like the main high street with the big brands have a perfect paths, roads, and lovely plants. I think that's a great idea. I mean, 4th Street is I love that area because it's historic
It's
to
unique.
me,
Yeah.
and I think that's exactly right. that should be kept.
The problem with 4th Street is you get loads of businesses that open and close because they're all unique.
But that's not the question. The question was funding. Am I right?
It would go down to funding, yeah.
Right. So let's make this clear.
Well-
Exeter City Council, for some reason, and I'm not saying they not really communicate with Devon County Council. So they have a budget. Devon County Council has a budget. What we really need to do is combine that and work as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So to that question, the budget and the funding.
Yeah,
All
aren't there two issues here? One is, at least in my mind,
Yeah.
one is the road, 4th Street. It'd be nice if they paved that to be nice. It's just like John is saying up top.
Okay.
The
So
second
then we
thing-
need
and
to
the
find
second
out if
thing
it's
is the
highways,
pavement.
Tony.
Yeah, I mean, this is next problem. Then you've got to find out who owns it.
It's probably a
is
Devon
easy to
County
do.
thing.
So I
Yeah.
look at it, maybe that's just me. When I go up there, there is a lovely place to sit down. Is it a planting area? I don't know. What do you call
Yeah.
it? Really? A relaxing area. But you think, why?
And the other,
what we'll do, John, is that's a good question, and I can relay it to the person I met today. Okay, and we also have a portal now where we can put these questions in, and it's quick, so they will put it to the right
Okay.
department.
and we'll log that, and then we'll give you an update, John, in the next meeting. The other part of that, Neil, is the pavement, because a lot of these pavements have chewing gum on it. They're rickety and stuff like that. Whereas if you go on the main high street up there in front of all the shops, it's beautiful, isn't it? That's what I think is not only the road, but also the pavement.
Yeah,
Does that
they
make
got their
sense?
priorities wrong. If anybody's been to Newport, I was up there quite a lot. The inner part of Newport is really, really spent clean, tidy, right? But the further you get out of the city centre, the more drabby and no more money. So really, the Exeter City Council need guidance on how they spread that money.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So if we've got a pot of, and this is just an example, 10 million, it's got to be evenly spent on all areas, not
Okay.
just the city centre.
Well, I think it's about time to wrap up here, guys. This has been a really fun time. You guys have been busy as heck, which is perfect. Tony, what are you going to do to wrap things up? What's on the
Well,
list
I'll
there?
give you the exciting news that Exwick is going to have another road closure in about 5 weeks.
Okay. What's that for?
Essential repairs. So I've had a warning about it. But that's just to cheer you all up in Exwick.
Okay.
Yeah, but we have to.
It has to be done.
It has to be done. Alfington's going to do it. New gas lines, right? Sadly, it's going to upset people. It's going to stop the buses. So Peter, I met the other day. It's going to really throw a spanner in the work, and we're going to have to just live with it.
And
for a
we're
minute.
trying to push the bus one, obviously, because we want Stagecoach. They've been paid the money. They need to operate more services.
Yeah, but to be honest, I've met the area manager for the whole of the Southwest. Already said that.
Yeah.
He's come back to me yesterday very promptly, like
Very
he said.
nice. Yeah.
He's asked for a couple of more weeks. All right. I'm just going to wrap up two things. Weeds. All these weeds around the city, it's not Exeter City responsible. It's Devon County Council. But Devon County Council have no budget. Come back to that. No budget to tackle the weeds. When I removed weeds the other day, the damage it has caused to the pavements, which in the long run, water and all that getting in, is going to cost them more money to repair
Yeah.
later on than to de-weed. And going back to him, I've now got guidance because I can put motions, and Tony can, so all these questions you ask, and we're putting motions together for the next meeting, and they will be backed. I put it to the committee or to the all the councillors, and these will be discussed. So we need a budget for the weeds.
That's great.
Right? We need a budget for people who've got ADHD. That's another story.
Are those motions documented then?
Yeah, it's all got to be done correctly. When I stood
So-
up last time and complained that we had nobody on the cabinet, I was told to sit down because it was not on the
Yeah.
agenda.
I mean, it'd be
I
great.
learned quick.
Yes, I know. Thank you. I mean, it'd be great to come back to like somebody like John or some of these people who ask questions. Say, yes, we made a motion, and this is what's happened. Okay, so next week
We've got a
you've got a
special
surprise
guest, I
here.
think. Yeah.
Okay, what the flip? What do you got here, Neil, on the agenda? What do you think? Voice from the next generation. Come on, come out of the
Well, we're
box.
trying to invite the young lad back from the university because he didn't have the full. He's got a lot more to tell.
Okay.
Okay, and we have a businessman who started a golf down in Marsh Barton,
Yeah.
and he needs support. right? Virtual golf. He was the first person I met, his wife, and we're going to support him, and we're inviting him on.
It's right by their motorcycle shop on the
Opposite
roundabout,
RGB,
right? Yeah.
and he needs support, and I think it's a fantastic idea. And I've been talks with a lot of other interesting characters.
Great, thanks. Okay, Tony, what else for wrap up? We're about out of time, but
Well, I am going through the emails and dealing with what problems we get and going to the various departments, and I've had some success now. I know where to go to.
that's great.
Just to add, I know we got to go. Anybody who wants to come on the show,
Feel free.
just get hold of any of us, and if it's feasible,
We'll
we will
call
give
you a special guest as well.
And don't be afraid. We'll only have you on for 5 or 10 minutes. So you don't have to be on all hour long. But hey, we really appreciate you joining us tonight, and I'm really thrilled that Tony and Neil are actually doing things instead of, acting like typical politicians. Thank you very much, guys. I look forward to an update from you next week.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you
again.
very much.